On this week's episode, Allen and I are going to recap the 2025 Tournament of Champion Finals, including interviews with our final cast.
You're listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast, celebrating hunting dog heritage, competition, and community. United Kennel Club has been the hunting dog sports home for coonhounds, beagles, retrievers, pointers, cur, feist, and more for over 125 years.
Welcome back to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast. This is Trevor Wade. I'm the Coonhound Program Manager at UKC. I'm joined today by the Director of Hunting Ops. What's going on, Allen?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. We just got everything wrapped up for the TOC and actually just packed everything up here on Sunday at Three Fat Labs and finishing up this podcast before we hit the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Been a heck of a weekend. Started out Thursday with 96 dogs, and here we sit Sunday morning with just one left standing.
Hey, so much anticipation, so much fun to put on this event. A lot of work, but it feels like we just got here like a day or two ago, and here we are, packed up and ready to head for Michigan again.
Yeah, man, a lot
bittersweet.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of moving pieces. We tried some new things this year. I think we're as pleased with the live show as I've ever seen anybody. I think I plan to probably listen to that on my little 7-hour trek back home here in a minute. I'll probably have them playing over my radio on the way back. But everything I've heard has been really good, and that makes you feel good at the end of a long weekend.
Yeah, it does. I loved being a little bit of a part of it on Thursday, interviewing the cast winners. That's a fun part out on the back deck. I kind of dubbed it the winner's deck out back, at the headquarters. And it got a little cold, not doing a whole lot and just standing out there. But they were, one right after the other pretty much there for a while. But that's a fun part of Thursday night.
Yeah, for sure.
Seeing those cast winners come back in, talk to them a little bit. They're just kind of on their emotional high still from winning the cast, anticipation, moving on, and this and that. That's the best time to talk to them. For
sure. And then we, I had fun with it too as they were coming in. I was kind of directing things, kind of getting dogs to you and getting information over to Taylor, we didn't have live scorecards on the Houndsman Advantage app on Thursday night. As they came in, we were plugging them in addition to our regular scores that we post, and also our YouTube live show that was going on to announce the winners. As soon as you knew who the winners they were, everybody else figured it out as well if they were watching the show.
They really did, because we had to do some processing. We had to process the scorecards, make sure the live stream crew has all that information before I even start interviewing.
Yeah.
So, the public knows, the viewers know pretty much about as fast as we. There's not much lag time.
No, there's not.
There's not.
Then they fast forward to Friday, and every day here at this event is a little bit different. We're whittled down to 24 there. You get to have some pretty one-on-one conversations with people. Some you've known, some you're meeting for the first time.
Hey, that's very true and unique, I feel like, about this event. And you can do that at any event, but it's just everything is just kind of, I don't want to say tight headquarters here, but it's smaller than, like a fairgrounds would be.
Right.
Everybody is contained in one area, basically, and it does. Everybody is just happy to be here, as they should be, and it just creates an atmosphere. You just, if you haven't talked with about everybody that's here, that's our fault.
Yeah. And the Friday night was probably when we still did our results the same as we always have. We did them. We were updating our website with scores as they came in, but we also the Houndsman Advantage folks. Matt Lingo was here, and we tried out the live scorecard deal, and I think he had there was maybe a little bit of a bandwidth issue and some issues with service, and we knew that could possibly be the case from different casts depending on where they were, but. Man, we're talking about it with the reps and us huddled around the TV over there and scores updating as you go. That was pretty dang fun for me.
Hey, it was. Sitting in here, I was one of them. We probably had, I don't know how many people were down here watching it.
Yeah, 10, 12,
but
15.
I think one of the misconceptions that the public has about it was he was a sponsor for this event and a platform here for him to showcase this electronic scorecard. And I think what a lot of folks thought this is one of our. Hey, we were using it too to add to our show a little bit.
Yes,
it doesn't replace anything really.
It was just an addition. We did everything else exactly the same.
Exactly
just
the same.
This cool addition.
And before on Friday, we never had anything as far as any play-by-play. So this was actually a part of that. I had some glitches, and they'll work it out.
Yeah.
They will, but I think some of the misconception was a little bit that this replaces something for us. It doesn't. But the other thing I think that folks need to know is that capability may work for something that doesn't come with anything else.
Yeah.
Where you can watch a cast, or it's no different than forecasts somewhere at your club hunt are going to have some club hunt off or something, and anybody that's interested, if they do it through this app, keep score through this app or whatever, any subscriber can sit there and watch what's going on.
It's going to be a cool feature.
It
I look
will
forward to using it, and by the time we use it again, which I assume is going to be the Grand 16 cast at Autumn Oaks, I think they're going to have a lot of those details ironed out, and it's going to be pretty darn cool on Saturday night at Autumn Oaks.
Oh yeah, it will be. I think some of the naysayers, there's a few, and I think it was only out of frustration that some didn't know how to get on board, and and that always happens with new things, maybe, and hey, they'll be better prepared probably. This is also new for them, and I think it'll be great. It's going to be great.
And all that is, and those guys should be fine too. The guys and gals should be fine too, because we also had, I think, extremely good coverage, as same as we always had, if not a little bit better, especially on Friday night with us doing a little bit of Facebook Live, since we didn't have a YouTube Live, and posting pictures of cast winners as they came in. I thought the coverage was great all weekend. Fast forward Saturday, slept in a little, tried to sleep in a little bit. It was tough there at the hotel, but kind of a long day, kind of sitting around and anticipating.
Loudest housekeeper I've ever heard. You're right. That's what woke me up today.
Yeah, me too. And then I could hear you outside the door, so I just shot you a text like, "You want to get some food or something?"
I didn't know if she was at my door or somebody else's, and I finally got up and went out there, and she's at the neighbor's door. I'm just like, "Are you kidding me?"
I thought she was standing at the end of the bed. No, I
just never heard that. I always hear the tap taps. Hey, housekeeping. This one was not that. This was like a, hey, we're calling cast instead of housekeeping. Yeah. It's like telling the whole floor.
Yeah, for sure. But Saturday, the fun part about it, you get to come in here and you're just down to 3 people, and a lot of times they bring in some extra folks that haven't been here throughout the week to kind of enjoy this with them. Took some really nice photos out back, and we got to get up here and talk to them a little bit, and I was the first one. I got Jonathan Moses and Josh Jones up here. They're from down in around the Tellico, Loudon area, Tennessee, from where I grew up. Not long from me. I've known Jonathan for a long, since I got in it. He was always been really successful in the hunts back then. And I think he got top 7 in the world with a dog named Chaos. Back when I was pretty green still, getting into competitions, and just a guy known for hunting dogs hard. And I was kind of proud of those guys to make it this far, make a run with one of the youngest dogs in the hunt, one of just a few 1-year-olds in the hunt. And I was able to get him and Josh Jones up here, a couple guys, lifelong friends they are, partners on the dog Dow Jones, and we talked about it a little bit before that final cast went out. All right, guys, we're sitting here at the TOC Finals, and I got our first finalists pulled up here, Mr. Jonathan Moses and Josh Jones, hunting old maxed out Dow Jones tonight, right? How you feeling?
I feel good. Not much pressure on now. Got the final 3, got no money, so makes it a little easier.
Yeah, you got $20,000 in your back pocket. That can take a little bit of pressure off. Yeah. What? Tell us a little bit about Dow. You call him Dow, or what do you call him?
Call him Dow. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about him.
Hey, just like I said, well, I've said it in previous interviews. We got him when he was about 9 months old. Josh purchased him. Actually, he bought him. We hunted him there a little bit, and he asked me if I was interested in pretty much hunting him and getting him ready. So we went to putting the grind in on him. Went through a lot of, pup. Which he always had potential. He hunted good. He'd get treed. Went through a few stages missing, just little stuff, just. And then now, like last 2 months, he's really come on. I think we've won. Well, counting this, he's won almost 30,000 if he just gets third tonight in this last month and a half.
Yeah,
counting PKC, Pro Sport.
He was one of the 4 1-year-olds here, one of the youngest dogs in the whole hunt. So I've had to be pretty young when you put the 5 cast wins on him to even qualify him for the thing last year.
Yeah, he's probably just a little over a year old, I guess.
Yeah.
And I actually think, if I ain't mistaken, I think this weekend made him grand.
Ain't that what happened to your dog last year?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I remember
that was at the Pro Slam.
At the Pro Slam, that's what it
yeah.
was. That was that interview. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about his pedigree. Do you know anything about his lineage?
He's off Little Money.
Okay.
And he's off of a female named Sacco, which I think that whole litter, there's another guy that actually judged us last night that's got a dog named Blake. It's a full litter mate that got the money won for the Super Stakes. The female's named Sacco. She's off Hector, which is off Fighting Side. So Fighting Side is one of World Hunt, back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, bred to do it. And last year I was sitting up here interviewing somebody with little money offspring, and he did pretty good in this final cast too. So
won it, didn't he?
He ended up winning it. That's right. Josh, where you telling me a little bit about your relationship here with Jonathan? You guys known each other for a long time with these dogs.
Yeah, like we'd said before, me and Jonathan started hunting together. I was 15 years old when we started hunting, and I'm 40 years old now, and it feels good that you get to run the roads with your best friend. Like I said earlier, I was the only child, and Jonathan's been like a brother to me. But we've had a lot of good luck in our life. We've been very fortunate, and we hunt hard. We always say one thing: if you want something bad enough, you're gonna work hard enough for it. Same in life in general, But we do a lot of hunting. I want to say we enjoy each other's company, but there've been times that we probably ain't, that we've been on the road, but that's okay. That's just part of it. But, it's like I told somebody yesterday. I said, they asked me how it'd feel, if Dow ended up winning this, and it would be great. But I said, I feel like we've done one before we got here. I said, everybody shows up here wanting to win.
Yeah.
And the work that everybody puts into these dogs is just, it's hard. And me and Jonathan both got families, and we got kids, and that's one thing that I think we both look at is about the same. We spend a lot of time with our kids.
Yeah.
And you don't want to put a hobby or anything in front of your kids, but at the same time, if you're going to compete, you got to hunt at the same time. So you go a lot of nights and stuff and days without sleeping. I hope we got 25 more years in us.
Yeah.
It's been a good ride, and I hope we're still just riding down the road and keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. You said a lot there, trying to unpack that with talk about getting a dog ready for a hunt. It's hard on one man to do it by himself if you have a team, and you guys have a team here. I know it sounds like you might be primarily hunting the dog, but you guys got guys here with you that have hunted with the dog a lot and put some miles behind it as well.
Jason Russell, I know we give him a hard time, but anything we ask, he helps us do it. I was like this morning, I was asleep, he got him out, watered him, fed him. You got to have people like that, you know what I mean?
A lot of people in your corner, and talk about a man knowing your dog. We're sitting down here watching the live scorecard on the thing here, and he pops up there. Strike pops up, and he says, "There's about to be 125 in this box right here," and I'll be dang if in 5 seconds 125 didn't pop up right there.
He's got a little bit more confidence in him than we do.
Yeah, that's true. He's been his biggest cheerleader for a long time. We've had some doubts in him, but.
Shoot, for you're part of 3 dogs that made it here to the finals. Am I right?
Yeah, it's I like to. I love to hunt at the same time, and then you see these other dogs, and we're working class people. I'm a working man just like everybody else. I'm just fortunate enough to be able to run a few more dogs here and there, and I'm very fortunate about my kids hunt too. My son's 17 and he hunts a lot, and my daughter. She might be at the homecoming queen, but she's 12, and she's her boots is on here lately, and she's loving it. So I want to keep my kid. Coon hunting's kept me and Jonathan out of trouble. Yeah, it did. It's because that's all we did in school, and a little bit extra every now and then. But
that's like you, Trevor. You got a wife and stuff. You got to have a wife that's supportive of this too, and my wife supports me, and she helps me with my own kids even when I'm on the road. And we got, like Josh Sparks, you was talking about owning more dogs. Josh Sparks really good to us too. Yep. He helps any way he can, helps expenses and everything. We got a good little, tight little, like I said, it's all working people though. It ain't like we ain't got big time money, but we try to go to what we can.
Hey, and it's not easy to find a group of people who can do it without clashing or something happen to kind of break up that bond. it's kind of special when you find that right blend of people and group of people that can work together on dogs like this and have some success like y'all
usually anytime money's involved, something's
right.
going to go wrong, usually.
Yeah.
If that's all you're in it for,
Yeah.
I'm going to coon hunt whether I competition hunt or not. So
yeah. Just love doing it.
This is just the extra to it.
Yeah. I've known you for a long time. Dow's just one in a line of good dogs you've had. From down there close to where the region was, down there in Decatur, so you probably got it out of there last week. And I know it'll be on the live show a little bit, but this will be our podcast. Might get some different ears on it. Tell us just a little briefly about your weekend there at the TOC regions in Decatur.
Yeah, I got it both nights. We actually treed 5 coons the first night. On Friday night, I treated 3 coons, had 475. Dog, like I said earlier, the dog looked as good as he could look. Had a decent cast. We had a little question there. We got it all worked out. But then Saturday night, we just scored 1 coon. I had the only coon we scored. Seemed like coons wasn't moving. We hunted the same spot, so we went right back in there the same spot. Then dog made a slick. Somebody's dog made a den. We just wasn't a whole lot going on, and I won with 225.
Made it here, and like we talked about last year, you made it. World War Z was here in the
Yes,
top 96. Made it to round 2 on Friday night, so you were a little bit familiar with it. But Thursday, the young dog here came and showed out and bested a pretty good cast. None of the casts around here, not too shabby here.
If you get this far, it's nothing easy.
Yeah, that's right.
All these dogs gonna treat coons.
Yeah, last night early, you guys had a bit of a cast. You guys treat a lot. You guys must have treated 7 or 8 coons early last night.
I think so, yeah. And then I had a couple coons during timeout, so
jeez,
we had to call timeout twice. I feel like I won that cast twice.
You guys about gave me an ulcer with the the deadline
what was
there.
It 4 minutes till I think we got back, or 5, something like that.
Too close. You guys had a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if it worked out in your favor or not. Late round, the temperatures had been dropping steadily all night. Frost kind of settled in, but man, it wasn't much suspense on that final cast late for you guys last night.
No, he actually looked as good as he could look. I mean, he was 0.7 out of the truck treed, had a coon, got him off the recut, went to the other dog. He had a blank, and then he was 0.9 treed, and I had put stationary on him. I wasn't going to tree him. I didn't really want to hear him.
Yeah.
But good clear night, like you was talking about, you could hear a long way. So I had tree him. We walk in there, and I've got another coon.
Yeah. And I'm sure your truck man was attentive, answered his phone when you needed him.
That round he did. I didn't need him.
Yeah, I have a phone service that time.
Round before that, we had a few words.
The first round, I felt like we was back in our teens, like I said, and I was like, no, not this time. But, hey, I can't carry no antenna right on top of this thing getting some service, but it is what it is. But, I feel like we had a good hunt last night.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand, but, a truck, you got to have a man at this truck.
Oh, yep.
Especially like last night during them timeouts. You've got to and when you got a dog that goes like that, you've got to have somebody to help you get this dog rounded up. I mean, it's part of the game.
Yeah.
And to take up, like Cody Carter, he done an exceptional job judging because my dog was in the place it didn't need to be. We had to call timeout, and then another dog was on Highway 40. So, I mean, I feel like he done the best he could. And, I mean, even win or lose, it wasn't no situation nobody was mad or anything. It just something that happened,
Yeah.
Timeout had to be called both times. I mean,
yeah. For sure. Well, you're 2 hours away here from figuring out how this thing settles. I know you don't come into this thinking it's either win or bust. You win a couple rounds feeling pretty good. Already feels like a success. But man, one more cast win would be nice.
Yeah, I'm looking for the 50,000, not the 20.
Yeah. Well, man, I hope
I'm sure the other two guys is also. So
yeah.
I mean, the best dog will win. So it'll speak for itself.
Yeah. Man, we've had fun here catching up with you guys this weekend, hanging out with you guys, having some laughs out here. But you guys got any final words, any thank yous, or anything you want to give to anybody out there?
I just like my wife. I thank her. She supports me. Thank Josh because I couldn't do this on my own or anything. Just like the other people name, you just got to have a team. You got to be supportive, and one man can't just. I mean, unless you're just extremely rich or something, you ain't gonna just run these hunts. It costs us a lot, For sure. You want to say anything?
Yeah, that's another thing like Mo's talking about. It's there's a lot of people that helps us as far as dog work. Just like he's talking about, Jason. And these nights that you hunt, we might all three go hunting, and when we get there, we don't see each other until whoever makes it to the truck to start driving around gathering us each up. And
yep.
and so it's and Chris Stevenson, he helps us a lot with our pups and stuff. You know, a lot of people that you don't see that's behind the scenes on a lot of these dogs, including Dow. You know, it's just it's a team effort to run all these dogs, and them guys that I appreciate everything that they do for us. You know, because Jonathan's right. I mean, that's one thing I said. It don't matter if we take first or third, we've still won because this a good team and we've made it a long ways.
Yeah, something to be proud of, guys, and congratulations for getting this far, and good luck to you tonight. Look forward to hunting with
y'all
y'all.
for putting on a good hunt too. It's one of the top tier. I feel like nobody should have anything negative to say about it. It's well put together hunt, and it's actually like a family atmosphere. You know,
I appreciate that. As much as you guys like to give me a hard time and threaten me with Facebook posts, I appreciate that.
Yeah. You did a good job. I mean, I've said it time. I
It's
think I
top
told
notch.
you yesterday. Yeah. You don't top this. Yeah. You know, and hats off for that. You've changed UKC a lot since you've come in the picture. I'll never back up on that.
I appreciate that. Appreciate the kind words, guys. Yeah, so those guys are. That was fun.
Oh, yeah. You know, I've known that name or those names, you know, for a good while, but I never really met them. I've seen them and know who they are, but I talked to them more this weekend than I ever had before. But I can see why they have a good reputation. People like them. They're just very likable folks, good guys. And it's just kind of cool, you know, a couple of guys that have been lifelong friends, basically, and still pleasure hunt together. They go to all the hunts together, work with each other, and you can tell they're having fun with each other.
For sure. They had a fun weekend.
Yeah. So, hey, kudos to them, and you're right. They've got a good young hound there.
Yeah, eventually with
nice dog.
Their third place finish. Started out hot, had a couple of tough breaks, but they're going to be getting a $20,000 check in the mail here in a day or two.
Yeah, you know, so and then our second place finisher. Also talked to everybody before we went out on Saturday night. Austin Gentry with the Electric Cowboy dog. He was up here last year, you know. So and this dog's been doing quite a bit of winning. He's been rolling with this dog. And hey, Austin is another one of those guys. I talked to him more than I ever have before. I've known who he was for the last couple of years, and he's also a really nice guy.
For sure.
Very approachable guy, very nice guy, and his dad came down. Brian came down, came up. They live in Alabama. Yep. You know, when he figured out early Saturday morning that he was in the finals. And then the dog owner, Brian Hudson, I read off that name a couple times, and it wasn't until we were in the barn here at headquarters Saturday afternoon when both Brians were here, Austin's dad and the dog owner, Brian Hudson. I knew him. From a Beagle event in North Georgia, from like 2020, our first gun dog Beagle event. We used his facility there, and he has a running pen in this. And I was like, I had no idea. I just never put two and two together. This was the same Brian Hudson, but
dog world's a small world.
Yeah. But hey, good for those guys. But I had all three of them on the podcast, and I talked to all three of them, and so here's all three of them. Well, hey, Austin, here we are Saturday night. You're still here. That's a good sign. What are your thoughts, man?
I'm just happy to be here. Wherever the cards fall, they fall, and we're just happy to be here.
Hey, you haven't been here on a Saturday before, but you've been in the Friday night hunt before, just last year, right?
That's right.
Have you thought a whole lot about it?
No, not really. I had a feeling when I left home this time. I said, I got a different feeling. I always feel good when I leave home, but I had a different feeling this time, so maybe we can finish.
Yeah, well, hey, there you go. But, hey, before we go further with you, you've got a couple of guys come up here to support you. Brian Hudson out of Georgia, he's the dog owner. He's here. And your dad, Brian Gentry, also came up here, so that's good. Brian, I saw the name. I've called the name out several times. I never put two and two together till I walked in here to the barn tonight and realized it was you. I actually know you a little bit through the Beagle stuff.
From the Beagle world. From the Beagle world.
Hey, congratulations, man. Austin's got your dog in.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Very proud. Austin's really done a lot with the dog, and the program in him's running. He's, he keeps the dog in shape. He hunts the dog like the dog needs to be hunted. You know, he's really the dog does his work, but Austin's the heart behind the dog.
How far are you guys apart from each other? You're in Georgia and Austin's in Alabama.
We are 3.5 hours apart.
Okay, yeah. Hey, tell me a little bit. How did you get the dog? How did you get your hands on Cowboy?
So
What's that story?
So what had happened, I got into coon hunting, and as you know, me and the Beagles, if I'm going to do something, I want to go to the next level.
I have seen that, yeah.
So I got into the dogs, and I went through a couple of handlers, and kind of felt like I was buying dogs, I was spending money, and in this coon hunting world, as we know, it's not as, I wasn't used to it as I was the Beagles. It was nothing to get your head knocked off on a dog, and I just wanted to win, and I enjoy hounds, and I wanted to win, and I knew Austin. Him and his dad had come down to Ringgold one time to try a dog out I had named Rhonda, and we went to this place. We treated coon. We went to this other place, and I knew right then that his dad Brian is not going to feed anything that's not a coon dog, because he told me. He said, "Look, I took a whole week off, and this ain't probably my only stop." And I thought, wow, okay. So we treated coon right out of the truck. I said, this place we're hunting is very small. We're going to go to this old dairy farm I hunt. It's got a swamp, and we usually treat coons, and so we go over there, we turn loose, and Rhonda goes out about 100 yards, and she turns around and comes back. And I'm thinking, wow, it's one of those moments, you feel like you've misled somebody, and they drove 3.5 hours, and they really don't know you, and I've really tried to be honest with them. I said, Brian said, let's walk her on in here and see what she does. And so we walk on in there, and she does the same thing again.
He's reliving it too, I see.
And I said, I looked at him, and I said, I know this ain't what you're looking for, and I don't blame you. This is not the dog that I told you about. So we shook hands. He said, I'll call you, but I don't think this is the one. And I said, I totally understand. Well, then I would see them at the hunts, and Brian always, no matter where I seen him, he'd come up, he'd talk to me. Hey, Brian, how you doing? Never forgot my name. Just that guy that was super nice to me. And Austin's the same way. Well, then I knew he was hunting for Billy Wolf, and they had Connor. And I thought, man, that's pretty cool. Those guys come with one of my dogs, and now they're up here with this big dog. Well, then when Billy went out, I seen a post on Facebook, and it was Austin. As a business owner, you kind of look at people's profile, and when you to get to know somebody, you kind of look through their profile. And I said, you know what? He's a good dude. Look, he's got a family. I think he's a good guy. So I reached out to him. I said, hey, I got a dog you want to handle. I had the shooter dog. Well, he said he texted me back or called me. He said, let's try it. So he come and got shooter, took shooter, and he's like, man, he is a coon dog. Well, as we come to find out, shooter had been passed around for a reason. Shooter was a coon dog and an alligator. So he won some hunts with him, but he was awkward. He was, 1 minute he'd go out here and tree you 10 in a row. The next minute he'd make you one coon and 10 slicks. And then the way of making the 10 slicks, he'd probably eat a dog or two up. So I'll never forget. Then he got rid of shooter. We got a cuz dog, but he was silent on track, but he treed coons. Well, Austin, just like me, if he's going to do it and spend his time away from his family, he wants to win. And that's the name of the game. So he calls me one day and he said, hey, I've talked to Michael Ward. He said, he told me about a dog. He said, this is a dog he would buy. He's tried to buy him, but has had no success at buying him. We need to buy this dog. I said, okay. He said, where is it? He said, Ty Flanders has got him. It's that Electric Cowboy dog. He had $5,000 won. Is that correct, Austin?
That's right.
And I said, well, call him and make him an offer. He said, I think he wants $30,000. I said, well, make him an offer. He's 25. Well, he called me. He said, we got him. I said, okay. I said, well, I'll get you a cashier's check. I got him a cashier's check. He went down to Georgia, picked up the dog. Him and Slade come, got the check, met me at my feed store, got the check, drove down to Georgia, and got the dog. Got him back up here, and he said, man, he's the real deal. I need to polish up on him a little bit. I said, okay. Well, was it the Nationals when I first seen the dog?
That's right.
I go to the Nationals, and I'm so excited about this dog. I'm like, man, this dog is going to be so awesome.
And when was this? What year was this?
This was we bought him in February of 24, so we've had him
last year.
Yeah, last year.
So I said, this is going to be neat. Well, I get up there and I get to the cabin, get out of the vehicle, and he's like, there's Cowboy. Allen, I walk over to pet the dog, and he runs from me and growls. I said, you got to be kidding me. Austin said, he's never done that.
You paid a pretty good price for this
And
dog.
that's what I told the dog. I said, "Bud, I paid a lot of money for you. At least you do is let me pet you."
Yeah.
And that same week, the same weekend, we hunted late one night.
Yep.
And
it
there
was in the top. It was quarterfinals of the Nationals. Yeah.
And he said there was like a question on a tree. And Cowboys treed. We're winning the cast. Cowboys treed 960. And I was a little heavier guy at the time. And he hands me the Garmin and a lead and says, "Go get him." I'm thinking, this dog doesn't.
The hunt was over, so all I needed
this
was
dog
Brian
don't
to go
even
get
like
him.
me, and I've got to go get him through these deer leases and everything else. I'm the money behind it. I'm the sponsor. I don't want to do all this.
Whatever you got yourself into.
Yeah, so I take off through there, and I'm going through there. I finally get to him. He's on a ditch line in this woods, and he's treed with a coon. And, I'm like, he's already growled at me once. What do I do? So I was like, "Cowboy, good dog," and I get him. I put him on the lead, and we're walking. And I'm thinking, Austin walks this dog. He is killing me. He's dragging me everywhere. He's going crazy. We're trying to get out of this deer hunting lease. Finally, I come to this fence, and it's, those cockaburros you get all over you. My feet get tangled up because he's dragging me. About that time I hit the ground, I get up. I'm tangled up. I've got cockaburros from the bottom of my boots to the top of my head. I was so mad, and I was turning around in this field, and I'm thinking, man, I really don't care about that guy's question on his tree. I just want to get out of here. I'm looking at deer cameras and a cabin, and I'm thinking, what has he got me into?
Brian calls me, and he's like, "Dude, this dog, I don't care if I ever lay eyes on him again. He's yours. He's never coming to my house."
He's disrespectful. So that's kind of how we got started. And it's we've never ever, I can say we've never had really now he gets on to me sometimes about me just buying dogs because I like to buy dogs. But, man, our relationship, and I let him do what he wants to do with that dog. That's, that's his tool.
Yeah, so you've had him a little over a year now.
Yep.
But, hey, what's his mother?
Pine Bottom Punch Drunk. Ty Flanders raised her.
Yeah, Brett
And,
Denny has that. Does Brett Denny have that dog?
Brett Denny has a litter mate to Cowboy, which is out of Punch Drunk. And so Brett Denny has Rodeo Drunk.
That's it.
That's right.
It. Okay.
And, but she's done well in the reproducing world, and everything they've bred her to. Is,
well, hey,
that's
that's pretty interesting. So that's kind of you kind of told the story how you met Austin and all that. So
everything just kind of clicked from day one.
You just kind of had that relationship just in the last year, basically. Huh?
Yeah, we've always kept in touch, like Brian said. But over the past, I've been hunting for Brian for about a year and a half, and he's been nothing but good to me.
Yeah.
He lets me. I mean, I don't call him. He lets me do whatever I want to. Free range. If there's a hunt, I get entry, and I call him. I say, "Hey, I got entry to go." And I mean, nothing's ever said.
How long have you been hunting dogs?
I started coon hunting. You remember what year it was?
It was about 2009 when you started.
Yeah.
I started. I don't know what grade I was in. I graduated in 14. I was 7th or 8th grade. I started coon hunting a little bit. My dad growed up coon hunting. My papa coon hunted all his life, and I'd heard about it. Go over to Papa's house, and he's got this scrapbook and all these old red dogs and stuff. And I've heard every story under the sun. Pop and Dad tell me, about these old red dogs, and so.
I bet they were good.
Yeah. I mean, I can, I still go over to Pops, and he's going to tell me them same old stories about them red dogs, but I'll sit and listen every time.
Yeah, so, hey, that voice you heard there, that's your dad, Brian Gentry. Brian, you came up here with him, too. So when did you, have you always hunted, too?
Yes, sir. I started hunting at a young age. My dad, he hunted, and my grandfather also. We grew up coon hunting.
Did you hunt in competitions?
I never competition hunted
a
lick. And when Austin was born, I quit. At that time, I had two boys, and I quit. And like I said, in about 2009, when he was 10 or 11 years old, something like that, he went hunting with a buddy of his back home, Jake Robinson, and he called me and my wife from the woods, and he said, "Hey," I want a coon dog. Well, I knew what coon dogs cost, and I knew I couldn't afford one. Yeah. But at that time, we ended up buying him a dog that was half started, and and
Give $400 for it.
get $400 for it.
And this
if
day
that-
and time, he would sell for 50,000. I
Really?
mean, he was.
Yeah.
Man, he was a good one. They're all a little better when they pass on, but he was a good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds like a good one to start with. Anyway,
He was,
Something to get
and,
you hooked.
and that's what Dad told me. He said, you don't realize how lucky you are, you know. And he was just a started young dog, but what he transformed into in about a year and a half, Dad was like, hey, you know, you don't realize what you've got.
Yeah.
You know, you're a young kid. This is your first dog. We get $400 for this dog, and here you are. Because quick backstory on him, we got offered $10,000 for him, and I was like, hey, Dad, we're gonna sell. And he's like, no, we're not. And I was like, yeah, we are. And he was
Get
like,
another
no.
one for 400.
Right. And he's like, no, you don't realize what you've got, which the dog. And then I had actually.
Hudson's laughing about that idea.
Hudson's like, Brian would probably love to give $400 for a dog, but I had quit. I coon hunted for several years, and I'd kind of quit about the time I graduated high school, and then I stayed quit for a couple years maybe, and then the coon hunt world blowed up while I was quit, you know, and then I come back and looking at these dogs.
Really, you just kind of came in at a time when things just really started kind
explode.
of reaching a different plateau.
And
he's not telling the whole story here, because I started back. We had all quit, and our buddies back home, Jake and Chris Robinson, they had kind of started back, and I started back hunting with them again. Austin's like, what are y'all doing? He's like, y'all are crazy.
I said,
Why are
I'm
you
never starting back. Y'all
are crazy. I ain't chasing these dogs around no more. I ain't doing it. Well, next thing I know, I bought a pretty decent dog, and he starts going a little bit with us. And next, Dad, I got to have a dog. So here I am traipsing across the country trying to find him a dog.
Yeah.
So, but that's where he kind of got started.
I bet you played sports in high school.
I
and
did.
stuff.
I did. Played football and baseball.
Like me, if you have that competitive thing, dogs are no different. It's still a sport, and you still get that competitive. Hey, so Austin obviously has had last several years. I've seen your name around. I haven't really met you a whole lot before, but we see what you've done here in the last several years. But as a dad, what are your thoughts on that? Is, you know, out there competing with a coonhound for thousands of dollars, big purses. Tonight he's in the purse is $100,000. He could win up to half of that.
Yeah, it's a pride thing, no doubt. I mean, when he called me this morning, you know, at 2-something this morning, I mean, me and him both was, you know, in tears, you know, because he made it. He'd been hunting a long time, you know, and he finally made it to, you know, the big show of a bigger hunt. You know?
Yeah.
It's, you know, it meant a lot. So, and when he said, "Hey, I made it, Dad," I said, "Hey, buddy," I said, "I'm on my way."
Yeah.
I said, "I'll be there in the morning."
There you go.
And he texted me and he said, "What time you leaving?" I said, "I don't know." You know, actually Brian texted me and I said, "Probably around 7 or so." I laid there in the bed for like 30 minutes and I got up. I said, I told my wife, I said, "I'm going on up there. I can't sleep." So
Yeah.
I'm going on up there.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Probably, what is it, 7-8 hour trip maybe?
It's about 8 hours.
About 8
yeah.
hours, yeah.
But I want to tell Brian while we got him on here that I really appreciate what you do for Austin and everything. Really do.
Absolutely, and I mean I appreciate everything he does for me, having 4 kids at home and a family, and he's out here promoting my dog, basically mine and his. And you know, if you don't have a good handler, you can't. I don't have time to do it. I got 3 businesses I run, so you got to have that person that's honest, good, that will promote your hound.
Yeah,
I do want to bring up my wife. She
I was going to ask you that. I know you have twin girls too, don't you?
got twin girls.
Yeah.
Their birthdays tomorrow. There'll be 2
Tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Oh man.
So she makes a lot of sacrifices so I can do what I love. She knows I love. I coon hunt 7 nights a week, 6 nights a week. Too much is what I coon hunt too much. But when it gets dark, there's something about it. If I'm sitting at the house and it gets dark, I've got to go. And you know, she supports me. She don't ever say a word. We got 4 kids. I got an 8-year-old boy, Slade. He just won a pro sport 4-wheeler hunt.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that
with Cowboy.
Yep,
so
I saw that.
He's tickled. And then I got a 5-year-old girl, Baylor, and then Marley and Avery, the twins. There'll be 2 tomorrow. So
well, I'm sure they'll be watching tonight.
Yeah, without Heather doing what she does and taking care of the kids, and she's running them to ball games and stuff. And I'll come home from work, and I work every day too. I'm a supervisor at a roller bearing manufacturer.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I'm running on fumes a lot of times, but I'll run home, grab my side-by-side, hook up. I'm going to the ball fields. I coach ball. And when I leave the ball fields, she's carrying the kids home, giving 4 kids baths, getting them ready for school, and all while I can go and get these dogs ready for some of these hunts.
Yeah, well, that sure helps to have that support system at home for sure. So, yeah. So let's change gears a little bit. I was going to ask you about your family a little bit and everything. You talked about that, but let's talk about the dog here. What is you obviously have a lot of you had the dog here last year,
That's
ago.
Right.
Do you think this year later, do you see any improvement in the dog? Do you like the dog better today than you did a year ago, or as far as your confidence maybe?
Yeah, I mean, when we bought him, I called Brian and I said, "Look, this hound's pretty stout. He's good hound." I told Brian, I said, "There's a few things I'm gonna work on," and he'll be 4 this month, I believe, sometime. But anyway, he was fixing to be 3, so there could be a few things polished up on him. And I told Brian, I said, when we got him, I felt like he was and I don't want to jinx him by no means, but. And this is just the facts of it. He was about 7 out of 10 is what he would have coons at home. We don't have no bunch of coons at home. But now, I mean, he'll treat 30 or 40 in a row. And I know that sounds crazy, but, I hunt Michael Ward. He comes, hunts 3 or 4 times a week. Dustin Weed, they come over, they hunt with me. And they'll tell you, I mean, his strong point now is he'll have nearly every coon. And but I feel like I'm here this weekend in the finals because every time I get beat, we've had, really great success with him. Everywhere we haul him. I think we've been to, 2 events now?
Yes.
That we haven't got in and got our entry fee back.
Oh, yeah.
And all that's bad breaks on being out of pocket. Well, I said, hey, if I can keep this dog in pocket, we're going to win, And all week he's stayed in pocket, and he's had his coons, and I feel like that's what's got us here.
Yeah. You mentioned a little bit your hunting is probably not the same as it is here, and you get to hunt kind of all over the country.
Yeah.
Does the dog like this type of hunting here?
Yeah, for sure. He if coons are down and more coon populated area, he's going to stay in pocket better, which benefits us. We go to at my house, they might go 2 or 3 miles before they tree a coon. So it's rough at my house. There's cutovers, and but every state. I mean, he's won in all kinds of different states. I think we won. I'm gonna say around 70,000 with a dog in a year, and I mean I'm no full-time handler. Brian treats me like I am, and like I said, man, Brian's super good to me and my family. But he, wherever we take him, the dog does us good.
Yeah.
And I knew a big lick was coming. We won a pro hunt in PKC at Good Springs, Alabama. Won 10,000 there, but really I think that's the biggest lick at one time that we've hit with him. And
yes.
I keep telling Brian, I'm like, you go pleasure hunting and you're just like, man, how's this dog get beat? And he's a dog, but and there's more to winning than just treeing coons. But I told Brian, I said, I treat his money like my money. I'm not going to say, hey, let's go to this hunt if this dog ain't ready or I don't think I can win, because why would I go spend my weekend away from my family and spend Brian's money when we could be doing other things?
Yeah.
So I told him he had a big win in him, and this won't be the last time. This ain't.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of winning to do. He's still a fairly young dog, and I feel like, as long as the old dog stays in pocket, I like our chances.
Hey, he is right at that age where they really hit their prime good. So he's up against little Ann. John's little dog. Have you hunted against Ann? Probably a lot.
I've hunted with Ann. Ann's a good hound. And, and I always enjoy hunting with John. I give him a hard time, so.
And then the other dog, the
fine hound.
Dow Jones dog, he's not even 2 yet. Have you hunted with him?
I've not got a chance to hunt with him. I've heard a lot about him. He's kind of new on the circuit, which he should be. He's very young. There's a lot of hype over him, and I know this finals is going to be a good one. And it's going to be a lot of coon trips.
There's going to be a lot of excitement, I think, just because of the variance in ages, inexperienced versus pretty much in their prime. And you could call Ann in her prime,
Yeah, she's 5.
Yeah, well, yeah, so, but yeah, how do you feel about your chances tonight? You still get butterflies at all, or how does
Yeah, in a big hunt, especially when it gets down to this, I get nervous. I'm not really nervous before the hunt, but when the hunt starts, when you go to cut loose, you get a little nervous, and then as you watch that Garmin and stuff, and you're like, getting close to being out of pocket, and a lot of different nerves come at different times during the cast. But I like my chances. I told everybody all week, I said, hey, we keep him in pocket and we'll be okay.
Good deal. I appreciate you guys' time here, but let's just go around the horn here, and I'll give you an opportunity for any final thoughts you might have before we close out on this. Brian, start with you. No, yeah. Hey, congratulations on having a dog here, man. This is a big deal. He talked about $10,000, the biggest lick, and he's got an opportunity to do at least minimum twice that and a whole lot more. So congratulations, Brian.
Thank you, Alan.
Yep. How about you, sir?
Once again, I just want to thank Brian for giving Austin the opportunity to go to these hunts and hunt at the level that he's hunting at now, and because it's something he loves to do. He's always loved to do it ever since he started it, and I like to kick back and watch it and observe.
Yep. Hey, Austin, we appreciate you supporting this TOC, getting dogs qualified for it, and I'll let you close it out
y'all.
here.
I appreciate UKC. Y'all, this is a very prestigious hunt. John Strickland called me the year him and Jeff and Hobo won it. John called me the next morning, and I think I was hunting Connor at the time. He said, hey, whatever you got to do, get a dog qualified for that TOC. He said it is very prestigious. He said I've been to every hunt there is. He said that is the best hunt that is put on. And I think that says a lot coming from John, because he's been to everything there is, And last year was my first year up here, and I seen real quick, I said, hey, we're going to get qualified. We're going to go back. I like how y'all do everything. Y'all put a little prestige back in it. So it's more than the money's good, but like you said in your Facebook post, it'll be spent. But, these memories and trophies and stuff like that.
There you go. Yeah, you can hear Brian. He loves this dog, this sport, and he likes to have a good dog. He likes to hunt, but he's a businessman. He's got a lot of irons in the fire, and he's not that guy that can go out and hunt these dogs. He can hunt when he can hunt, but as far as keeping them out on the circuit, he wants to have a good dog and a good handler to handle those dogs, and he found that in Austin. He talked about a lot of that, as you heard.
Oh, yeah.
And he really likes that relationship. So he was happy to be here, and even win or lose, but yeah, so there we go.
Then you were able to pull the eventual $50,000 winners in up here, huh?
Yeah, and that guy is John Strickland. You don't have to say a whole lot. Turn on the recorder, and you're going to do a podcast, and he's going to give you. But he's a good guy to
for sure.
To
wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I felt like I wanted to ask him a couple of questions, and we kind of went a little bit deeper into the weeds than I thought we might, But I thought, you know what? Hey, here we are. And we talked about training dogs and especially training competition dogs, and tweaking them and things like that. So,
right.
But he had his one of his partners, Doug Galbraith, who's always here with him. They bring their wives, both of them do, and they love this event. So, but I pulled Doug in as well. So, but here's John and Doug and I. John, you got Ann here Saturday night.
We did, buddy. We did. We've been to this hunt every year you've had it. And we've won.
You've had a dog here every year.
I've been in this hunt every single year and handled in it and made it to the 3 labs every single year. And one year I won 2 rounds at the 3 labs and then got beat. In 2 years I won 1 round. And then this year, there's one year I didn't win I came here and that's all I did, and that's actually the year that we won it with Hobo. Jeff won it with Hobo
2 years ago.
Yeah.
So technically, you still won it, even though you didn't do any good.
Yeah. It's funny. We got the $25,000 fake check thing. And at my office, right behind my desk, I put it on the wall and we framed around it. And I said the other day, I said, hey, it would be awesome to the 50 grand check. Yeah, I said, I want to. That one says 23. I'd love to have to move it down, take that frame off, and move it down, and put another one right above it. So you got 2 of them up there this year.
Well, we've got that check here in the building right now.
Yeah.
You got a 1 in 3 chance at it.
Yeah, we got it in our eyesight now.
Yeah.
Before it was we come in, now we can see it. So
Yeah. Hey, we've got Doug Galbraith sitting here too, one of the co-owners. Ashley Oxendine. You got Randy Smith on the dog here too,
Yeah.
4 owners. But got Doug sitting here too. Doug, you've been here about every year too, haven't you?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I've been here about every year.
You just
Sure.
come and eat the food and
I just
talk
drive,
dogs and
I just drive the truck and eat the food.
There you
and
go,
do what
man.
he tells
That's
me
good.
to do.
That's
I tell him that I build highways and he's the pro at he's the master at coon hunting. So I just he's the only person I ever boss me around. So.
do you get out in the woods much, Doug, and hunt with any of these dogs at all, or not really?
We do
Yeah.
when I have time. I messed my back up years ago, so
Oh.
that's why I stay at the truck and
Well,
drive. And
John's got the 4-wheelers and all that good stuff.
no, at home, yeah. So
Yeah.
I hunt off side by side. Yeah,
Oh,
I used
yeah.
to keep a dog at the house all summer last year, and me and a buddy of mine, and every time he comes down, we'd hunt. So
Yeah.
even when he wasn't there, we'd hunt, all year.
And you guys always bring your wives up here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like they enjoy it. I'm sure they go out and do a little shopping or something during the day, a little bit maybe.
They do, and they really enjoy it, and they kind of know that this hunt they don't really have an option. They know they're coming. You know what I mean? It's like, how about this? I said, well, don't plan it because you go into the 3 fat labs if we get there, And
Yeah.
talking about Doug hunting a dog at home, let me tell you a funny story. It's hilarious if you're a coon hunter. So Doug gets this English dog, and he's got him at the house, and he owns an island. So him and Tina every evening would go out. He didn't have a thermal. He had a light. I think he had a tracking unit this time. But anyway, he cut this English dog. He owns an island himself, so he cut this English dog on this island, and they get in this golf cart, and they ride to the tree, and they get the dog and send him on, ride to the tree and send him on. So finally, he calls me every day at tree 9 last night, tree 11 last night, 2 hours, 7 or 11 in 2 hours. And I'm like, my God, I need to be getting this English dog, you know what I mean, and hunting this dude myself. So I said, I can't, and it's all live oaks, some big, beautiful, mossy live oaks, And I said, well, you, how you finding on coons so quick without a thermal, And he said, oh, I don't even shine the tree. We just pull him and send him on. But I know he's got every one of them. He got them all, bud. I'm like, oh, Lord.
Well,
But
the coons are there, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but there's an island, and we feed the deer, so there's piles and piles
Yeah.
of coons.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go on this little island, and when you pull up and shine the trees, there can be 20
Yeah,
sitting
you
around.
can see them everywhere, and we
You know?
keep it all mowed.
Yeah. Hey, anybody that competes a lot knows who John Strickland is. But for those who don't know John Strickland, tell those folks.
Oh, gosh. I grew up in Richmond Hill, Georgia. I started coon hunting. I was 9 years old. My neighbor, my dad nobody coon hunted. I didn't know any coon hunters, but my neighbor, he coon hunted. His name was Mike Anderson. He's not around anymore, but he had these coon dogs, and he had a 2-wheel drive, long bed, 2-door, Nissan Datsun. It was not Nissan, it was Datsun pickup, and he always had a dog box, and he had 2 daughters, and I'd go down and swim in the pool and all. I was 9 years old, so I'd be down and I said, Mr. Mike, I want to go coon hunting. He goes, yeah, Mr. Mike, I want to go coon hunting. So finally he says, all right, what time you going coon hunting? He said 7 o'clock. So at 7 o'clock I get on my Honda 3-wheeler and I haul butt down there, and he's gone. I'm like, man, he left me. Well, the next night I go back down there and I'm like, Mr. Mike, what time we going coon hunting? He said, be there at 7 o'clock. And I wait, and I get down there 10 till 7, and he's gone. So the next night I'm like, I ain't asking him. I get there at 6 o'clock, and he's there, and he walks out. He always kept a thermos, like a big Stanley thermos, and I thought it had tea in it. Come to find out it had liquor. He drank all the time. And
That's why he left you.
yeah, so I get down there, and now I'm 9 years old with a 2-cell flashlight. I've never been cooned up in my life. And I get down there, and he says, I'm sitting on the back of the tailgate when he comes out of his kitchen. And he goes, oh, you figured it out, eh? I said, yeah. So he says, well, get Hubert. I'll never forget the dog's name, and Ronnie Sue. He said, get them 2 dogs put in the truck. They out there. And I put them in the truck. And I go to get in the front. He said, no, you got to ride on the dog box. nobody in the front seat with him. And we go about 3 miles, and he turns these dogs loose, and I walk in there, and I don't know if we treed coons or not, but on the last tree, he had a lead with 2 snaps on it, and it was like 80 yards off the road, and he says, take this lead and go get them dogs. And I went out there, and I got these 2 dogs hooked up, and I get back to the road, and they're pulling me. I weigh 80 pounds, you know what I mean? They're pulling and jerking, and he's gone. And I knew the way home because I rode 3-wheelers and lived there my whole life, and every foot of the way I cried as hard as I could, all the way down through there. And it felt like 3 miles, but about probably 200 yards when I rounded the road, he was sitting down in his truck, and he says, all right, you passed the test. Be here at 6:30 tomorrow. And that's kind of the first time I coon hunted.
What do you think it is about it that you like? Is it you wanted to go probably out of curiosity, but then somewhere the dog probably plays a part in it?
My first dog, so they run deer dogs down there. My dad always had deer dogs, and they run deer dogs. And we didn't have any money. I wanted a dog. So there was a dog named Mabel in the deer pen, and she wouldn't run deer. So Dad said, you want a coon dog, just get that Mabel dog and take her. So I'd turn the house cat loose in front of her and try to get her to treat a house cat, And she would run it, and then she'd just stand there and look. When the house cat climbed the fence post, she'd stand and look at it, wouldn't bark. So I'd take her hunting. We'd take her hunting, and every time she would be at that tree with them dogs, and she'd just stand and be sitting on her butt looking up, wouldn't bark. She'd run every breath. She wouldn't bark, wouldn't tree. It was a running walker,
Oh, yeah.
So I was taking her to coon hunts, and I was winning. I mean, I was 11 years old, and I would get struck, and when something treed, I'd tree. Back then, these dogs packed up.
Yeah.
Everybody's packed up. And I knew when something come treed. Didn't take me long to figure that out. When they come tree, I'd tree, get in and run.
She'd be there.
She'd be looking up, and I won a lot of little local hunts,
What happened when she was the only dog left?
Well, it never happened. There was 3-hour hunts, you know what I mean? And I remember I hunted her one time, and you'll remember this dog, Hardwood Dan, Paul Sheffield.
Yeah.
And Paul was killing everybody, and Paul was kind of like, after Mike, Paul kind of took me under his wing, and showed me how to really coon hunt. And I drew Paul with this Mabel dog, and at the end it was 3-hour hunts, and at the end of the night, this guy said, and I had rode with Paul down there. And this guy said, well, congratulations, son. Paul was a competitor. I mean, he was diehard. He didn't care. He choked his mother out for a trophy, And he says, congratulations, Mr. Paul. So for what? And he said, well, he won. He said, no. He said, no, he won by 12.5. Y'all had to split that strike. And Paul said, no, he didn't win. He said, he won, Mr. Paul. And we had 1,387.5 plus. I'll never forget it. And I had won by 12.5. And so I get my dog, and Mr. Paul said, you need to get him to ride back to the club. You ride with him to the club. Paul was mad. So I was a kid. I didn't really understand it. So I get there, and I get me a breakfast, and I walk over and sit down beside Mr. Paul at a picnic table, and he picks his breakfast up and leaves and goes sit at another table. And but I won a trophy that night taller than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I guess that was probably the first trophy that I won. And so my mom drove a Ford Pinto, and she would drop me off at the coon club because coon hunts would start at 10, 11 in the morning. Bench shows and water races and all that, and it wouldn't get over.
Contests, everything.
Yeah, so she would drop
Dash
me off.
races sometimes.
Yeah, so a guy named Charlie Anderson, his house is still there in Richmond Hill. He had the coon hunts behind his house, and she would drop me off at Mr. Charlie's house at like 11 and pick me up whenever, she'd be there at like midnight to get me. And I remember the trophy was too big to get in the Pinto. We had to take it apart. And I guess I think back, I'm like, that trophy was probably it was probably a demon.
Yeah.
Because I ain't never slowed down since
Sounds
the big
kind
trophy.
of like Tony Dominguez. I remember when he's about 7, 8 years old, he put that old red dog in every game there was to play.
Yeah.
That used to look at him, just drag that dog around, and I used to feel kind of sorry for that dog. You'd just be dragging him around, but he sure was going to put him in loved every bit of it. But,
hey,
I'll come back to you in a minute, but at some point I want you to think about I want to know the best dog you have ever unsnapped. I know you had a ton of good ones, but Doug, I want to ask you, how did you two guys meet?
So that's a long story, but so I've known him since he's about 14. So him and my wife Tina, that's down here now, they went to school together. But so her brother and him was best friends, and he was actually in his wedding. So Tina was she's younger than me, and he is too. But so anyway, so that's how I met. I known him. I was in Richmond Hill. He grew up, in Richmond Hill, and they went to school together. So me and her brother was hanging around, and I met him. He was always at their house, and so we got to hang around. And then he worked on a buddy of mine that had a shrimp boat, and he was always out there working on shrimp boats, and that's how I got to. So we've been friends. That was in the early '80s.
Oh yeah.
And so I've known him ever since then.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. I was talking about it the other night. I don't know why. I never got into coon hunting for years until probably 6 years ago with him. But we always talked. And I remember one night at the World, I was on the phone with him. I was somewhere traveling, and he had sprained his ankle, and it was 1 a.m. or something other than. So I've always kept up with him. We've always talked no matter where he lived and whatever, but we've always been friends. But that's how I met him, was because him and my wife and all them went to school together. Yeah. And my brother-in-law. So, yeah. And then the reason I got into hunting, I told him, he came to me one night and he said, what do you think about a $100,000 coon hunt? And I said, I don't know, ain't one way to do it. Let's try it and see. And then COVID hit and all that. And so he said, he didn't even call and tell me, but my son called me like at 2 a.m. He said he put it on the computer. He said it's $100,000 hunt, and so I called him at 2 a.m. and I said, put my name in the hat. I want to get in this $100,000 hunt. He said, you only have a coon dog.
$10,000 entry now.
$10,000 entry. I said, I'll send you $10,000 in the morning. And he said, you ain't even got a coon dog. I said, don't worry about it. You scared I'm going to beat you? I said, I'll buy a coon dog. He said, you don't have a coon hunt. And I said, I don't. I said, I'm a rookie, I said, I don't know. I said, I'll figure it out. Don't worry. No. I don't want to be in that thing.
Let me tell you what he tells me. He says, I got a coon dog now. After I done tell him 3 times, he said, I got one. I said, yeah, where'd you get it from? He goes, you don't know the dog. I said, where'd you get it from? He said, California. I'm like, you ain't got no coon dog. There ain't no coon dog in California, but there ain't no coons out there. Hey. So, go ahead.
But that's how, so he said, I'm not going to.
I want to make sure you didn't know the guy.
Yeah. I said, what's wrong? You scared I'm going to beat you?
Yeah.
You scared I'm going to buy a dog and hire somebody that's going to beat you? I said, you scared of me. I said, you won't let me get in the hunt. You won't let me get an entry. You won't let me take my $10,000. And we just buddies, since he was 14. And he said, I tell you what, after the hunt and all, he said, then COVID come along, and he said, if you want to get into coon hunting, we'll find a dog. Yeah. And he called me one day, he said, I found a dog. It took several months, and I said, you the pro, you won the world, and you've done all this. And I said, I don't have a clue. And I said, I build highways for a living, and whatever you say, I'll listen. He said, I found a dog. And I said, all right. He said, you want less getting? I said, whatever you say. We go 50-50. And that's how it started. Oh, yeah. And we got, what was the first one?
Wishbone.
Oh, yeah. And then it went to Apollo, and then it's just going on and on. And every time he called me, he said, what do you think about it? Well, I'm going to buy this. So I said, whatever you want to do. You the boss man in the coon hunting world, I'm the boss man in building highways.
There you go.
But that's the way it is. That's why I said I only have one boss man in my life, and that's him. But I'm the driver, and
yeah.
So, but anyway, it's funny. But
I'm sure you have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, that's it goes back that far.
Oh, yeah.
Till he was probably 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
But
yeah, well, that's a good story, John. So you've had a lot of good dogs over the years, Bad Habit, and a whole ton of them. I'm sure he's probably, I don't know if you're going to say him, but had hunted a lot of good ones. What's your yardstick, or do you even have a yardstick, or do you have a?
Alan, that's a hard one. I used to say, well, Habit did this, and Salt Creek Jenny did this, and Game Changing Page and Apollo, we won Autumn Oaks with, he did this, and Country, my gosh, Big Country. If you ask me which one that I got my nerves flowing or my juices flowing that I love the most, hunt probably was Country, because he was a blue dog. He was 85 pounds in hunting shape. He's real tall. When you pulled him out the box, it was almost like you had Mr. T with you. It was exciting. People would be like, ooh, but probably the best one, honestly, probably Habit. All honesty, it's easy. It's real easy to say that once they're passed away and they're gone. I will tell you this: the most accurate one I've ever owned is the one I'm hunting now. even more accurate. Anything. I've never seen my bar or my measuring stick was here about that, and I always thought Habit and Jenny and Country and all these dogs always had coons, and they had what they had. But then this dog, like, really made me realize there was another something a little more special or a little higher bar about having a coon. I'm not talking about the whole package. I'm talking about having a coon. And it's funny you said that because Engel has hunted with all these dogs through the past. Scott Engel. And we had a shootout last night early. I mean, I treed with 34 seconds. It was unbelievable. The best coon hunt I've been on in 15 years. Best cast, about competitive-wise. And we walked out, and Engel said, "Man, that's a good female, John." And I said, "Engel, I think she's the very best I've ever put a dog lead in." And Engel says, "Oh no, Habit." He hunted with Habit a lot, and he said Habit's still in my top 3 favorite dogs ever. And I said, "You're probably right. You're probably right, but in my mind, if you had Habit and her here today, I would probably pick her because she's no work. Habit was a lot of work. He chewed, he did this, he chased armadillos, he caught possums, he'd bay hogs. I mean, when you went coon hunt with Habit, it was sometimes a job. And this dog, you don't have to do that.
You've had a bunch of good ones. And do you feel like if you have a dog that has the talent, there's some that are going to have more talent than others. You recognize that in a dog, and there's going to be a group of them or a bunch of them. Do you feel the rest is basically you can take them and train them and get the best out of them, just make them better? Or are there still dogs that are just absolute freaks that are just naturally better than anything else?
What I call that,
or maybe I'm not asking.
No, I know what you're saying. So what I call that the Michael Jordan effect. If I see one, and I run across a lot of dogs that win a little bit, but you can't get them through to win the big rounds, or you can't get them consistent enough to just dominate. But I look at it, and I'm like, man, that dog's got the Michael Jordan effect. He's got it. And if I could get my hands on it and change this or this or this, tweak them a little bit, there's no stopping them. I guess that started because Habit was one of the very first great ones I ever owned. In Habit was Michael Jordan. I mean, he had it, but he chewed so bad. You could take a scorecard every hunt you put him in and write 100 minus beside it on tree before you ever get out the truck, because the 2 was going to catch you every time. And I said, man, if I could break that, he'd never be beat. And T. John Treadwell, I bought him from T. John, and T. John says, hey, you know what you're getting. And I said, I do. Well, about 8 months later, I was at the truck hunt down in Lula, Mississippi, and we had won the pro division. We were killing people. And T. John comes to me and said, how'd you do it? I said, how'd I do what? He goes, you know what I'm talking about, how'd you do it? I said, when I bought him, you didn't tell me he chewed so bad. He goes, I just don't know how you did it. I'm like, I'll never tell you, and laughed. And I still hadn't told him to this day how I got him. Never did stop him, but we throttled him back where he would get 100 minus every 10 hunts, versus every cast. And that's what made him a freak once you got over that. And then, Apollo was 15 months old, and he was tremendous. That was a good hound. And I seen something out of him. I said, man, he's got it. This that needs to be changed a lot more than Habit. But if I could get him there, and we did. And I look for that extra special that nothing else has that you hunt with. And if you can find that, and then the faults that they have, I feel like if I can get them polished, or throttled back, then can we win? Yeah. And that's what I like to get and put my hands on. I can't. Alan,
do you think it's often more the faults that you gotta fix, or rather than tweaking and making them better, or making the good better?
I don't think you ever make the good better. I think you get them in shape to where the good comes out more, and you condition them the right way, and you hunt them, early, and then let them lay up and hunt them late. So they use these double rounds. It's nothing. You do it every night. There's nothing new to them.
Double rounds are a big deal.
Absolutely. And the dogs today, a huge deal is the recast. These dogs have got to recast. They can't tree a coon and just rest on the laurel. They got to recast. They got to recast as good as they did the first turnout. I feel if you can find one and get them polished up to do, conditioned and to do that greatness just magnifies better.
Yeah.
It comes out.
Yeah.
And then you're taking the faults away at the same time, you know.
Hey, I hadn't intended on getting into all these conversations we have, but it's all good stuff. But
Yeah.
let's talk about Ann. Off of Willy, female. Who's her mother?
She squirms a lot. Squirm.
Squirm.
Yeah, squirm.
And what is she?
I don't have
You
a clue.
don't know?
I don't have
Yeah,
a clue, Alan.
gotcha,
You know, people ask me that all the time, and if I had to look last week, I couldn't answer that question what the female was. I don't care. I just don't. I want to win coon hunt.
She's 5 years old now, so you've had her a year and a half.
No, I got her June the 15th.
Oh,
first
just
time.
this year? Just this year?
June
Just
15th, the
last
first
year?
time I'd ever laid an eye on her.
Okay, you know what it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and the first hunt I hunted her in was
You've
like
had
July.
you've had several females here in the last couple of years. I guess got it mixed up with
Yeah,
one of the others.
so I hunted Apollo, and then a lady come along.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Paige, and we won. I won about 125,000 with her in a year, and then lady come along from Randy. That's how me and Randy and Doug and all us got it.
Yeah.
And I won over 200,000 with lady, and then lady come in heat, and I had 3 big entries, and I needed a dog, and I did not expect her to come in heat. And I'm like, man, I got to have a dog like this weekend. And I called JR because he lived fairly close, and he had that Scar, and he had Ann, him and Ellis did. And I said, hey, I need to borrow a dog, you know, and this is what I'll do. I'll pay my entries, and I'll split what I win. But I need a dog. I need a winner. And he said, well, come down here, and we're going to come over and hunt. We're going to bring Ann, and we're going to bring Scar. You pick what you want to pick. And he said, but you're going to pick Scar. I'm just telling you, she's a strike dog. She's automatic. She's off the chain. And, you know, it's going to be 100 everywhere you go. And that didn't really interest me. I mean, I think it's cool, but my number one deal, they got to have a raccoon when you get in there. I don't care if they quarter dogs. If they got a coon, I'll figure out how to win with them. And so they come down, and we hunted about 2.5 hours, and Ann was 5 for 5. And Scar was a first strike on every one of them, but she was like 1 coon, 3 dens, a slick, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, this is a no-brainer. So I took Ann home with me, and I started hunting her. The first hunt I put her in was July the 7th or 8th, somewhere right around there, and I got beat on tiebreaker. It was like, I'd only had her a little while. I really didn't know. I got beat on tiebreaker. I was up in Michigan the first night, and the next night, Austin Gentry down here beat me by a quarter. And the next weekend I took her to the other hunt, and I got her in. I won 7,000 or 8,000 with her. And then the next weekend I took her a different hunt, and I got in again. And I guess I'd hunted her about 45 days, you know, or I don't know. I'd had her about 45 days, not 45 nights of hunting. And I was sitting there one day, and somebody, I think it was Doug, or it might have been Ashley Oxidine, said, how accurate is she? And I'm like, man, I don't know that I've walked to a bad tree yet. So I got this app in my phone called Scorekeeper, and it's real easy. I put plus, circle, minus, and you just tap a button under that box, and it just adds them. So I'm like, man, let me look at Scorekeeper. I'd never thought about it. And I looked down, and I had 0 minus. I had 4 circle and 62 plus. And I'm like, this dog is treated 62 out of 66 raccoons. So Ashley's like, it didn't hit in his brain. So we hung up, and I'm sitting there, and I kind of got that numb feeling, and I'm like, man, I got to get this dog bought. This is the Michael Jordan effect. I've never seen one do that. I mean, we had dogs that get 45 or 50. I think Hardwood Henry, I hunted with him one time, me and Rickliff, he got like 60. But what I'm saying, this is new territory, new person, 4 different states. You know what I mean? That hunts, not hunts, totaled up, and she did this amazing thing. So I called Ellis, and I said, hey, I need to buy this dog. And Ellis said, man, I don't really want to sell her, but Roger Shable called and offered $30,000, and I'm like, what's it take to buy this dog? And he said, John, $50,000. I'm like, come on, man, she's a female, you can't breed her, and you can raise puppies, and she might die the first litter. I said, come on, Ellis, you know, and he says, it's $50,000, John. He goes, but you hunt her all you want, keep her forever, I don't care. But if you want to own her, she's $50,000. And I'm like, I ain't even calling Doug Nash. I ain't calling my buddies and saying I'm thinking 5 female for $50,000. You know what I mean? And so finally, I said, man, I got to think about it. Hung up the phone. I got looking at Scorekeeper. It wasn't 15 minutes. I called him back, and I said, work with me, $35,000. He said, what do you think she's worth? I said, I'm going to be honest with you. I think she's a $25,000 female because I'm not sure she can win. And he said, well, we won the Triple Crown. I'm like, I'm not talking about winning a Triple Crown. I'm talking about winning $100,000. You know what I mean? And I'm not discounting the Triple Crown. I'm not saying that. But it's different. I feel the level of dogs, you can get lucky in some of these other hunts and draw some dogs that's not as good. But the level of dogs I'm hunting against, they're all great. Cowboy, Out, Hobo, Echo, Rodeo. You know what I mean? You ain't talking about nobody has a slouch dog. Nobody. And I'm like, I'm not sure she can compete at that level. And he said, well, I think she can. I think she'll pay for it in 6 months. I said, well, let me tell you what I'll do since you're so adamant. He goes, all right, I'm listening. I said, I'll bring you $25,000. It's July the 15th. I don't forget it. I said, I'll bring you $25,000 tomorrow. He said, all right. I said, I will give you half of what I win after my entry. I'll pay my own food, motel, gas, up to June the 15th of next year, up to $50,000. He said, all right.
Of 25 here.
20 this coming June. I said, up to $50,000. When I get to $50,000, it's over on the dog. I said, he said, well, what if she gets killed? I said, I'm going to bring you another $5,000 because Roger Shaver offered you 30, and that way you got. He said, well, if she gets killed tomorrow night, so I'm going to give you another 5. That's 30. And he said, what if she don't win any more than 25? I said, you got 25. I said, but to be honest with you, if she ain't winning, I really probably don't give a damn if you get her back. You know what I mean? We'll work something out. So if I can't win with her, I don't want her. And he goes, you know what? You're going to pay me $50,000. I'm good with that. And that was June the 15th. And what date is Autumn Oaks?
Well, it was first weekend in September, basically.
Right.
So end of August.
I took him the rest of his money, that Autumn Oaks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah, and
2.5 months.
Well, we won, and in that we won Michigan, won 10 grand, we won 8 in another place, won 17 in a place. Then we won a truck.
Yeah.
So that was from July the 7th to today, we won 163,000, not counting whatever 20, 30, 50 here. So in all fairness, if we won this thing, we'd won over 200 grand since July 7th with this dog.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty impressive for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, so tonight you're hunting against Cowboy. You've obviously hunted with him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you've got the oldest dog here.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the favorite, I would say.
I don't know. Cowboy's good.
Probably so. And then you've also got a dog that's not quite 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about him? Anything?
I don't know anything about him. I can't.
As a handler going in, does that always play on you a little bit, or
No,
when you don't know, or do you think that helps you when you know a dog?
No, it don't. It is what it is. Alan, I can only go out there and call Ann for what Ann does. I can't control what Cowboy does. I can't control what Austin does. To be honest with you, I really don't care what they do. All I can do is go out there and keep giving Ann some minus and let her go out there and treat coons. And if she treats coons like she's capable and she shines and they stumble a little bit, she's going to win this thing. And if she don't, we're going to end up second or third. And if we end up third, we're as happy as we are right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Well, we're gonna find out here. I don't want to hold you guys up here. We got to get some pictures made and a few other things. And my SD card's about full, I think.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get going here. But I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys supporting our TOC and our other events as well.
I never hunted UKC. I did way back, and then I hadn't hunted it, and I don't know when. And then went to Autumn Oaks and won it.
Yep.
And then
Apollo.
With Apollo, and then we did the TOC, and then I went to Walker Days last year. Won that the Pro Slam, the $1,000 Pro Slam the first night, and so I mean we like this, and then we're gonna surely hunt we always hunt your world hunt.
Yeah.
And I'll be at Walker Days. What, 2
Next
weeks?
week. Next week.
I'll be there next week hunting the Pro Slam again. So you're getting me. You're getting me.
And I'll say one thing. You was talking about our wives, and my wife's name's Tina. And they went to school together. They've known each other since they were 10 years old. But the reason they do come is because y'all put on a first-class show. And Tina, this is the only one she's been through this year. Because we always so busy and all. They love coming in here. She said, "I'm going. That's the only one I'm going. I'm going. Get the plane tickets now. I'm going."
Well, hey, we appreciate you bringing them.
Yeah, but they do love it.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up, but I appreciate your time and good luck tonight.
Thank you, Alan.
All right.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank
you, guys.
Hey, Alan, I don't know if you've been messing around with this new Houndsman Advantage app at all, but I've been playing with it some, and it has some really cool features on it. One, it has the interactive scorecard view where you can assign strike and tree points at the touch of a button, and it automatically totals your scores after each set of points are scored and valued.
Yeah, no, I like it as well. Some of the features that I like is that you can access the rules and that it comes with a search function to easily find any specific rule. Also like that there's a place for your dog's registration numbers, and you can store pictures of your easy entry cards. I like that you can track two dogs' performances when out pleasure hunting. You'll find some analytics on your dogs. You can record their accuracy, win percentages, and a whole lot of things like that.
No more lying here on this app. The last thing about the scorecard I'll talk about is it has the summary view as well, where you can see the total points you have and the pending points that you have, along with tree timers for each dog. So it's going to come in handy for judges as well. So check it all out on the new Houndsman Advantage app.
Yeah, there you go. That was about a couple hours before they actually went out to in the final cast there, and as it were, John and Little Ann were victorious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, when he was doing this interview, he was as laid back as you wouldn't even have thought there was anything going on, really. He was as laid back and relaxed as you would, I don't know. There were no nerves there, I don't think.
Yeah.
I sure couldn't see it.
Yeah.
But that guy's been on so many big stages like this, it's probably doesn't faze him quite the same, but I think he wants to win as much as anybody, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, and we won't get too deep into how the hunt went. You know how they placed there from what we said. Hopefully you go check out our YouTube live show, watch it as you have time, and obviously we have a ton of coverage on our website, on our social media platforms. So go check all that stuff out in the next few days, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. But man, we got to get to some shout outs and thank yous before we close it up here and hit the road. I want to start out first. I think we'll start out with the guides. For the week and of our host club here, Deer Creek Coonhounds Association. Thursday they utilized a lot of the Marshall. You got Brazil over here. I'm trying to think. Ellettsville. There's other clubs here within the general area. 30, 45 minutes up to an hour
what
away.
Is that?
With
Rock something.
Rockville.
Yep.
Yeah. So it one club put 96 dogs in the woods, not going to happen. You got to have connections with other clubs. You got to work together, and it happens a lot. And man, they did a great job of getting dogs in the woods here for the entire weekend. Over the course of the weekend, they scored a lot of coons, and there was no cast that came back with no plus point cast winners. And in the final tally for the whole weekend, over 34 casts that went to the woods over 4 nights, 4.7 coons scored per cast.
That's incredible, really.
Anywhere.
It's incredible. The weather was perfect.
Yeah.
They're calling for some rain. It rained a little bit on Thursday night. I guess one cast they had actually where they were at, it rained quite a bit. And I think they might have went to Rockville, but outside of that, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Nice during the day. Friday was a little bit chilly, but it cooled down to upper 30s and lower to mid 40s. Throughout the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Good coon hunting weather.
Thank you to all the guides who volunteered their time, took them to your hunting spots, and kept them in good, safe woods with coons that score on them. So thank you. Next, we'll talk about judges, non-hunting judges. We had to have 24 here on Thursday. Had several of them stay for Friday and Saturday as well. From all over, all the way down from South Carolina, all the way up to Iowa, and everywhere in between. And I really appreciate all the judges that came, man. That, as I told them in my judge meeting, I won't soon forget them coming and helping me out when I need it. And a lot of them have done it a bunch of times.
Yeah, you're right, and you're always that's a group that you really need, and I'm the same way. I've been doing this for a long time, and I can still remember judges we had back in 2010, some of them, Yeah. That's a group you don't really forget, because you appreciate them so much.
Yeah, and like I said, I won't forget it, and yep. Let's move on here to talk about our staff a little bit. I think first off, Tracy Chilson, not an official UKC member, but she's like a member of the family for me. I see her a lot of weekends throughout the year.
Takes the best coonhound pictures in the country. There's as far as event photographers, I feel like she's so good.
Yeah,
so good.
And we had a wealth of good media people here this weekend. Obviously, Clayton Stark, another guy who's not a member of our staff, but, man, he takes some awesome photos, shares it on his Stark Outdoors platforms, goes out on the final cast. Can't wait to see some of his recap videos he's going to be posting in the next several days.
It'll be good. Always is.
Cameron, kind of the first time I've dealt with him this year, and the guy, he was out on the final cast with me, but he went out on 3 casts over the course of the weekend, and man, he got some great shots. He was running all over the place here around the venue, taking good pictures, and I'm pretty sure he got some awesome stuff as well for us.
Some of those professionals like Cameron, they have a little bit of training angles and things like that. Knowing lights and things like that, is huge for a great photo, and they know how to get those better photos.
Yeah, social media. We had Andrea here. She's hasn't been doing the social media stuff very long, but man, she was posting stuff all over the place, and I kind of like some of the way she goes about some things.
Yeah, it's just a little different maybe than we were used to, but she's doing a great job. A whole lot of reels and things like that. You see it all weekend long.
Sharing people's posts
Yep.
that UKC Coonhounds is tagged in.
I like that when somebody tagged us. That she would take some of those and share them again.
Yeah. Annie, obviously the director of the media department, was here, and she was a big help this weekend, helping me get results posted in a timely manner, obviously with the live show stuff and just kind of directing things and when they were going to be posted and things like that.
Yep. One of the things when she was on the floor talking to one of her crews, they were talking about getting stuff up, and the word she used was rapid fire, and I love that.
Yeah.
That means ASAP.
We like that.
Beyond that, and we like that. Yep. That's her directing her team and leading her team.
Yeah.
Love that.
Got to mention Taylor Armstrong, the director of registration. Her first time here. Obviously, she's been with UKC for a long time. She's probably been to every other event there is, whether it was Coonhounds, Beagles, Curve Feist, Shed Dog, all breed. But finally, she made it to TOC. And, Taylor, you won't find anybody who works any harder than her. And she made my weekend much easier with the stuff that she did this weekend.
She has made my life at work easier, especially on the road stuff, and for a long time.
Yeah.
Good travel partner and never complains about anything, does whatever, and it doesn't matter what it is.
She doesn't stop.
No, she doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And, she is a valuable asset to our road crew for sure, travel staff.
Could use about 3 or 4 of her.
Yeah. Yep.
Obviously, we had Nicole said,
and not just that. When she doesn't have anything to do, or when she has idle time, she is bringing stuff, has stuff from the office, processing things from the office.
Yeah, no downtime.
That's Taylor.
Yep. Obviously, our major, vice president and major event staff, Nicole and Holly, who was new, first event, hasn't been here for a couple of weeks.
She did great.
Did awesome.
Yeah.
And Nicole obviously is a good mentor for anybody getting into putting on a major event, because there's not many that I don't know if there's anybody I would rather have in my corner than her at a major event.
Yeah, no, she's always been good to have, and she sees, she will listen. She wants to understand what our visions are and what we envision with things and what an event might look like, and then she tries to make that happen. Yeah. She has some great ideas and her own input on things, and rightfully so, because she has some great ideas. But she is not too. She is always interested in understanding what our vision looks like for an event, and tries her best to make that happen. And she's done that beautifully here at the TOC. This is an example of it.
Yeah. And then obviously we had our acting president, Matt, here the past couple of days, and we always kind of joke about this, but he was, when I got here from the final cast last night, he's the one out here breaking stuff down and getting stuff piled up. He's here early this morning, putting stuff in the trailer, and I haven't worked for a bunch of companies, but I don't think that's common.
No, that's very uncommon, and he's always like that. You might not see him a whole lot throughout the event. I don't think a lot of people even know who he is. Yeah. He likes to keep it that way, but he likes to observe and kind of see, and he does it for reasons, that will benefit us, but then you're right. Sunday mornings are pack up day, pack up morning. It doesn't matter what time of the day or night it is. He is there to help the crew. And you're right. I don't know any other president that does that.
Obviously, the field reps are here. They put in a lot of hours. I want to say thankless, but I thank them a lot, and you do as well.
Yeah,
maybe the hunters don't see all the time and effort that goes into that, and some of the homework to make sure that you're sharp on rule interpretations. And sometimes you got to deal with some sticky issues. And this weekend, not so much. It was pretty smooth, but they do a lot of good stuff for us. And man, those guys have turned into like some of my good friends. And those 5 that were here this weekend would have been Jamie Estep from West Virginia, Doug Cundiff from right here close by in Cloverdale, Indiana. Mark Vest came all the way from Texas, his first time, so I was tickled to see him here with his buddy Randy Norris, who came up with him. Curtis Sparks and from North Carolina, and Philip Foster from South Carolina. A couple of drives for those guys, but man, just to have a good time cutting up with them over the weekend. And but when it's time to get serious, there's nobody else I'd rather have in my corner when I'm putting on a hunt than those guys there.
Yeah, do a fantastic job, and committed, always here, committed. Don't complain about anything or who gets to do what. We kind of lay out the assignments. One of the things I love about this and the World Championship, instead of just having one Master Hounds, we just create a panel of 3 of them. We obviously set up a chairperson, for it each night, but and that works great. Yeah,
a couple of them brought their wives. Philip brought Sharon, Curtis brought Mitzi, and I saw Kim here with Doug, obviously, and his whole family was here. So fun stuff. And obviously the live show people, you had Jamie wearing both hats. He did Thursday and Saturday. Rick Stretch on Thursday and Saturday. Steve Burkholder had some travel issues on Thursday with his flights, but he was able to make it up for the show on Saturday. And those guys, they do their homework beforehand. They wanted to put on a better I've always loved our live shows, but they felt like there was some things to do better, and I think they did that. But and then also their production team, a lot of those guys I don't know, but Cody went out on the live show with us carrying that big heavy backpack, and man, he was leading the pack and just did an awesome job keeping up with us in video and did awesome. His dad Rick is a part of the production team, and he's been here at every live show we've had. I think he's the one guy who's been to every single live show we have from the production side of things, Rick, and he keeps things light, but man, he's a professional and he's good with that camera.
Yeah, and he does add some spice to it, and but yeah, do a great job.
You may know some of the other production team that I may not.
Well, this year we had a couple of the new guys, obviously, and they did a great job. But yeah, Rick and his boy Cody was out with you guys. But yeah, and the others were all new, so I'm not sure I forget their names, but they do a great job. And it's kind of fun. Matt Lingo was in the control room last night, or on set. I say not on set. He was in the same room. Yeah. But it's just to watch how that works is pretty interesting. Asked him if he's ever seen anything like that, and he's just like, no. He's just like, man, I just hope I'm not in the way, or
Yeah.
But everybody kind of, after you've done it for a while, it's kind of neat how that get used to it. You get used to it. It's something kind of hard to get used to if you're not. But it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that covers most of that. I want to thank, obviously, Helmsman Advantage for helping sponsor the event and adding a new wrinkle to our already pretty good coverage, I believe, with some of their Helmsman Advantage stuff. Yep. I want to thank Eukanuba, the official performance dog nutrition partner of UKC, for furnishing quite a bit of dog food, carrying that stuff around.
Those top 24 all got dog food, and the further they went, they got to grab more, The more they got. But, hey, I also want to thank you, Trevor. Man, you do a lot. You do as much as anybody from our staff on this event, and do a great job with it, putting things together and having things in order and all that. And that's and then, hey, it shows. You do a great job.
Me and you probably, like we talk about, we probably get too much credit online sometimes from different people, but you put in the hours, and I know we put in some late nights, and man, we're already kind of brainstorming on ideas to make next year better. There's it's going to try to keep building this thing for you hunters out there, and I think that's the last thing we want to say is thank you to the hunters that support this program. I said it in opening ceremonies when you let me speak for a minute. This program right now is at a place that I didn't think that we envisioned it getting to as far as numbers go, with 1,491 dogs qualified, pretty much shattering the old record we had there. 922 entered in the regions, which shattered the old record of number of dogs there. And man, without all you guys and gals entering the hunts and competing with your dogs throughout the year, things like this wouldn't be possible. So man, thank you guys for all the support. Alan, you've been feeding Eukanuba dog feed for a while now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have, and I've really been able to put my beagles to the test, mainly running snowshoe hare up north where they run the hardest, where I put 15, 20, 25 miles on them easily in a day. And I've found that the premium performance sport has really paid dividends. Mainly, I noticed their stamina.
Yeah, same feed that I've been feeding. I think my dog looks good on it. He's really feeling good, and less kennel cleanup for me, so I highly recommend it as well.
Eukanuba, the official performance dog nutrition partner of UKC.
Thank you for listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast.
Be sure to give us a follow so you don't miss any of our new episodes or content.